bold statement by the man, the myth, the legend, Bill Gates, stated 640K is enough for anyone. Sadly, he's wrong. 640K was irrelevant probably a month after he stated that statement. In 1989, he stated this in front of the Computer Science Club at the University of Waterloo. When coming to the choice of choosing a hard drive for your computer, you have between a solid state or a hard drive spinning disk. The big difference between them, there's a big difference between them as well. I'm a tech guy. My major at Wayne is CIS, so I stay up to date with all the IT news and market every day. I'm now deciding to build my second computer in the future coming up, and the SSD will definitely be the only hard drive I will use in my computer. Stated by Mark Kyron on LifeWire about SSDs, he stated that solid-state hard drives are the latest in high-performance storage for computer systems. They offer much higher data transfer rates than traditional hard drives, while consuming less energy and also have greater levels of reliability thanks to no moving parts. Today, I'll share with you some criteria such as data integrity, speed, and electrical shock with SSDs versus hard drives. Hard drive performance specs will also be discussed, as well as the SSD specs. To start off are the hard drive spinning disk and SSD criterias. The first is data integrity. Mentioned by vericode.com, the definition of integrity is a fundamental component of information security. It's used to describe a state, process, or a function. Data integrity consists of having a well-built structure of data on the computer, and it helps with data prevention loss. SSD wins that category in a large margin, simply because of the fact that there's no spinning disk inside the hard drive or the SSD. Obviously, there's more reasons, but just to keep your data secure is the highest priority. And with the time frame, I can go on and on forever about that. Your jaw will drop when you hear the speed difference between an SSD and a hard drive spinning disk. SSDs range between 450 megabytes and up to 550 megabytes. That includes the read and write, and that was listed on fastssds.com's website. So the hard drive spinning disks, their highest performance is the Western Digital Black hard drive. Its read speed is only 122 megabytes per second, and its write speed is only 119, according to computerworld.com. And lastly, the electrical shock. You can get electrical shock, or you can shock your computer simply by walking around on a carpet and touching the machine. And with the hard drive spinning disk, you can damage the data inside the disks. But with SSDs, since there's no moving parts on the inside and it's all plastic on the outside, there is no way to get electrical shock inside on the circuit board. So yeah, like I said, the SSDs were plastic coated on the outside for the case, and hard drives uses a steel or aluminum casing, which is very easy to shock. So besides the criteria, next are the hard drive specs. Hard drive spinning disk specs. Gotta get that right. Speeds are way slower than the SSDs, like I said, by almost 400 megabytes per second in each read and write category. According to turbofuture.com, spinning disks consist of a 2.5-inch disc or a 3.5-inch disc. They both have similar speeds. There's not really a big difference in between them. It's just the size, and they can fit in different cases. But the 3.5-inch is more common. They're for a lot of desktop computers, like workspace computers. The older hard drives, they use a PATA, which is a fat ribbon data transfer cable. And now all the standards and everything is already transitioned to SATA. And SATA is a less narrow and doesn't conduct as much heat inside the case, so it's a good transition. According to PC Part Picker, the average cost for 1 terabyte on a hard drive spinning disk is only $50. So that's about what I paid 2 years ago as well. So the price hasn't really dropped much, but it's still a good price. In comparison to hard drive specs, next are the SSD specs. And these are definitely the clear winner in the categories. Like I said before, the SSDs average about 500 megabytes per second for the read and write category. They also use less power consumption than hard drives, spinning disks, due to obviously the spinning parts inside of hard drives, and SSDs do not have a spinning part. On Quora's website, stated SSDs are 5.4 times more efficient than a hard drive in power consumption. SSDs have a connector. The way they connect to the computer is either by a PCIe, which connects directly into the motherboard. Like I said before, the SATA, it uses the same SATA as a normal hard drive. And then nowadays there's a new M.2 connector, which connects to the motherboard, and those speeds, there's a bright future ahead of those. They'll even be way faster than what current SSD speeds are. For cost, that's the only bad thing about SSDs is they're way more pricey than a hard drive, a solid or a spinning disk hard drive. 1 terabyte can go as low as $220. That's the lowest I've seen it. But the averages ranges up to about $300. But a lot of people will use their hard drive. They'll have both a solid state in their computer as well as a normal spinning disk hard drive. The spinning disk is for, they'll just put all their like data storage on it, while they'll have the operating system, everything run off of the SSD. So it can go both ways. I mean, right now, currently, I'm running an SSD and a hard drive in my computer. Some personal research in 2014 for the price of an SSD for 1 terabyte was about $700. So in just about 2 years, the price dropped significantly by almost about $500, and it continues to keep on dropping. Every time I look into, prices are going lower and lower. But give it about a year, they'll get down below the $200 mark. So in conclusion, the SSD is a no-brainer for serious people wanting to build a computer for themselves. But for the common consumer, a normal hard drive will work. But if you want to make sure that your data is going to be saved in the future, implement a SSD into your computer. But you can get by with a hard drive, just a little risky. The average consumer, like I said, will buy the hard drive, spinning disk hard drive. But if a lot of people just get intimidated by all the technical terms and stuff, like a computer guy would talk to them, so they don't know what to get. But everyone will always lean them towards just a normal hard drive because they're cheaper and more wallet friendly. If you do some research on your part, you'll definitely find that SSDs are definitely the best bang for your buck. But make sure you do the research also, so you don't regret buying something and losing all your data, and then having to go back and buy another one without anything on it. It's kind of a bad scenario. So if you want something long lasting, buy an SSD. But if you want a ton of storage for a low price, just get a hard drive. In regards to the computer itself, my favorite quote is by William M. Kelly. He stated that man is a slow, sloppy, brilliant thinker. The machine is fast, accurate, and stupid. Thank you.